Good afternoon.
Not because I suffer fast, not because I pray and fast. No be your show, no be jazz. I'm watching. Daily, Osinachi. I'm no qua, Osinachi. Money, Osinachi. I'm watching. Daily, Osinachi. Mama, Osinachi. Not because I suffer fast, not because I pray and fast. No be your show, no be jazz. I'm watching. Daily, Osinachi. I'm no qua, Osinachi. Money, Osinachi. I'm watching. Daily, Osinachi. Mama, Osinachi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Can you hear
Great,
you?
great. I welcome you to the 2022 edition of the Lagos Studies Association Conference, and particularly this pre-doctoral fellowship workshop, which usually precede the main conference. And I thank all the participants here present. I thank you in advance of your active participation in today's program. So basically, the objective of the predoctoral fellowship workshop is to connect the past winner of predoctoral fellowship with the potential winners, so that the potential winners can derive some lessons from the experience of the past winners of various pre-doctoral fellowship programs. So this afternoon we have 4 highly promising and flourishing young intellectuals, and as listed in the program, so the 4 of them will be discussing with us. So I want to confirm if they are all hearing me right now. So the first on the list is Semiu Adegbenle. Is he in the house? Please kindly indicate that you are around.
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
Oh, great. Good to have you. It's always exciting to discuss with you. I think you also participated in the last year edition. Then number 2, we have Matthew Ayodele. Are you in the house?
Yes, I'm here.
Great, great, awesome. Yeah, I can recognize your face again. Yeah, great. Then number 3, we have Stephanie. I'm trying to pronounce this name. I don't want to step on your toes. Can you please help me?
Stephanie Nefevotu.
Okay, Stephanie Eferoti, very good. Yeah, they say slow and steady wins the race. So I remember you participated also last year. Great. And the 4th person is Ridwan Kolawole. Is Ridwan also in the house?
I'm here. Good afternoon.
Great. Good afternoon. Great. Great. Wonderful. So we have recorded 100% attendance on the part of the discussants, and that shows the commitment that members of LSA always display. You know, part of the characteristic of members of the LSA is ability to make contributions and also show commitment to scholarship. So I'm highly excited, and without wasting time, I want to remind us that we have 1 hour for discussion and 30 minutes for interaction from the audience. So each discussant has a maximum of 15 minutes because there are 4 of them. So each of them will speak for 15 minutes. And we have a number of topics that will guide our discussion. So, and I think we can go, instead of moving round and round and round, I think we can ask each discussant to have a full discussion on all this topic. I'll remind them again. So there are 7 topics. The first one is, how did you hear about the fellowship? Number 2, how did you get information about the fellowship, which is also connected with number 1. So the question 1 and 2 is about information about fellowship. That's 1. Then, how did you write the proposal? So information is number 1. Number 2 is how you wrote the proposal. Then, after proposal is networking and achieving professional development. Then the next one is how you process the letter of recommendation and other requirements of the application. Then the next one is the financial and professional reward that you got from the fellowship. And lastly, the overall benefits of fellowship to your professional development. So I think if each discussant run through all of this so that we don't go forth and back, I think it works better like that. But if you want us to go forth and back, it's fine. So which one do you think we should adopt? Is it for each discussant to, it's just like giving us a brief information about their experience, right? Starting from how they got information, how they wrote the proposal, how they network, how they process their recommendation letter and other requirements, and the benefit they derive from the fellowship. So I think each discussant can run through this, and we move from discussant 1, 2, 3, 4. Then before we now open the floor for interaction with audience. Which, or do you want each discussant to pick each topic and we move round and round? Which one do you think works better for us?
I think it's better to move around one after the other.
Okay.
Getting to
Any
the question
other
as good as we can.
opinion? Any other opinion? Do we all agree we should do that?
Any format is fine as far as it's going to be effective.
Okay. So I think it works better if each discussant just gives us a brief experience, just like a kind of a narration of your experience from start to finish. The audience will still interact with you later. So let's start with Mr. Semiu Adegbele. So you now have the floor.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's nice to see you again. And,
Great.
colleague, Stephanie. Well, I think without wasting much of our time, I like to say I was the beneficiary of the Erasmus Student Exchange. It was an agreement between the Department of History, University of Ibadan, and the Institute of African Studies, University of Leipzig, in Sachsen-Anhalt. So we learned of this opportunity when it was officially declared open by the department in February 2020. I mean 2020.
Can you please speak louder so that your audience can hear you clearly? Can you please project? Thank you.
All right. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we learned of this opportunity when the department made the announcement that interested students, especially those researching economic and social history, to apply for this opportunity. So, and then I started gathering my information. So, sourcing information on fellowship. I had initially applied to a related Erasmus exchange scholarship with IFRA. So I had a bit of an idea of what this fellowship was all about. So then it was easy to just rearrange that material and then to write my proposal and then my statement of purpose. Well, after applying, we actually expected to commence that program the same year, but COVID-19 happened, and then it was delayed, and then we started our exchange October 1, 2021, and we ended it in March 31, 2022 this year. Networking and professional development. Yes, it was, for me, it was my first experience traveling out, so it was really great. We got to meet some scholars, especially I got to meet Professor Van der Bassela again. He's an interesting man that his research intersected mine, and then we got to network. He also helped me to fine-tune a lot of my ideas. So letter of recommendation and application requirement, because this opportunity was based in departments, there was no need to sort letter of recommendation. The application document was just a statement of purpose and then a brief overview of the students' MA.
Please, can you be a bit clearer? So your audience needs to hear you more clearly, please.
Okay, can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, I can hear you now. So
okay. So I was saying it's presented a networking and professional development opportunity that I got to meet scholars who were researching migration, society, and other topics that borders on what
your audio is not clear enough. Your audio is not clear enough.
So
So,
write my PhD proposal then to these
okay,
scholars
yes,
were
it's
also
better now.
very helpful in helping me to fine-tune that MA proposal. So because this thing was in the department, there was no need for letter of recommendation. For the 6 months that we were in the program, we enjoyed stipend, and then we also enjoyed mentorship from our home institution and then from our host institution. So the overall benefit was quite overwhelming. In fact, it's difficult to quantify. The most important thing is we came back from the exchange program more better and more with more exposure than we had before leaving the shores of the country. So that's basically what I have.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, can we move to Mr. Matthew Ayodele now? So, start by telling us how you got information about the fellowship, how you wrote your proposal, then how you network and achieve professional development, then how you process recommendation letter and other requirements, and the benefits including financial and professional development opportunities that you derive from the program. So the floor is open to you now, Mr. Matthew Ayodele.
Thank you very much. I'm actually like very glad to be part of this program and that you invited to give a talk about this.
Great.
My experience is quite similar to Mr. Semi Ayodele's experience because we are both from the Department of History, University of Ibadan. And yes, we received the call for application from our department. And after like perusing the all requirements for application, I put in my application. And you know, some of the major requirements for putting in application is to submit a statement of research, a statement and of interest, right? So it's also a way of like navigating through these things, right? To understand what the statement of research actually means, right? So and then another thing is also and then they also requested for a curriculum right, a CV, right? Which definitely also have to be tilted towards your research interest and what you propose to do. I mean, what's your motivation? Right? So basically, the call for application is also within a particular area, which is economic history and I think social history too, right? So and then to also be able to say, okay, how does this really like speak to your current MA dissertation? So these were like the considerations for me personally to be able to consider, oh, am I really qualified to make this application? So I made the application, and as rightly said by Mr. Dedenle, like the result came out and we were both nominated. I was nominated for the scholarship by the department. So it was more or less like a rigorous, exercise in terms of selecting, or making recommendations. So I got this with Mr. Dedenle, and after the whole process, right, and we made it to Germany at the University of Leipzig, Institute of African Studies. Sourcing information on the fellowship, I think that has more or less like captured that, right? Because like I said, it's like an agreement, between institutions. So we got the information right from our, right, and then writing proposal. Yes, I will talk about two proposal states now. The one where while we're and then the one like after at the end of the Erasmus program. Now, while the Erasmus program, yes, I mentioned the statement of intro or statement of research before, right? And it's more like saying, okay, I've worked or I've been in a particular field before, and then I really want to engage this new field, connected to the particular field I've been engaging before. And this is what this, exchange program did for me, right? That was how I was like, okay, what I should really propose that we, attract that we application standards. And all the experiences and knowledge garnered during the exchange program, which were enormous, right? I mean, it was like a reinforcement of what we actually learned or gained from the department, from our own department, right? Because over there at Leipzig, the courses we took, they were fantastic. They were really interesting. First, we talk about the introduction to African studies, taken by Professor Van de Basella and Dr. Lara Cross. I mean, this is more or less like saying, okay, interdisciplinarity in research, okay, bringing sociology and bringing all these things together, right, to contemporary situations and also to make historical reconstruction, right? And these, experiences, right? Towards the end of the program, I started my proposal for doctoral program, and I developed a proposal, which was, I actually also, sought third eye perspective from my own professors and also from the professor at my host university, which is University of Leipzig. And I mean, like, this is more or less like two institutions, like you coming from somewhere with a knowledge about this, people in as well, just to reinforce that knowledge. So it was more or less like a very great then networking and professional development. Yes, while I was at my own university during my bachelor's and my master's program, I mean, home university, it also exposed me to let me say, like my professor at my own university, Department of History, University of Ibadan, introduced me to a couple of seminars and conferences. After participating, I was also able to receive updates about some of similar upcoming seminars. Right? And outside that too, I mean, being a member of LSA also, it's one of the professional development, opportunities, right? And LSA, gives updates about, conferences and seminars. And also while at Leipzig for my Erasmus program, the Institute of African Studies at Leipzig also has these, weekly email notification about conferences, about seminars, about publications that are related to African studies. All right, and apart from that too, it's also, it's personal development to ensure that you also like relate with all these professors and to also from their knowledge or from their wealth of information, and then to also say, oh yeah, you are working in this perspective, I'm also working in this perspective. Can you link me up with, probably organizations that or associations that are also in this, perspective. So for me, like, networking and professional development is of two phases, right? From my profession, both at my own home institution and from the host institution, and also more or less of a personal engagement with some of these, professors. So the letter of recommendation and application requirements. Yes, just like Mr. said, like there was no need for a letter of recommendation while we were applying for the Erasmus Plus exchange program at the University of Leipzig at the Department of History, University of Ibadan. Because like it was more or less like a call targeted at history department, at students at that particular field. So what was needed, like I said, was a CV, curriculum vitae, to highlight your research expertise, like your past academic engagement, and also a statement of interest, coupled with a statement of motivation. So these are like the requirements that we actually like got. Then financial fellowship. Yes, that's more or less part of the whole exchange program, right? We received a monthly stipend, 6 months. Okay, we got reimbursed for some of our travel expenses, and then even while coming back, still like got funded for that too. So financial and professional, the financial reward. So that really takes care of social concern of like feeding in accommodation or anything. Then the professional reward of the fellowship is that During this month, we have our student identity card. We have access to University of Leipzig email. We have our own email. We have access to course catalog online, and within this period, right, you make some connections. You meet people. Then, you have my own institution email and my own institution email, and using things interchangeably. It also now goes back to networking and professional development, because when you're sending out emails and then you say, okay, you are from the Department of History, University of Ibadan, that gives you a rich egg. And also you say you are from the University of Leipzig, Institute of Africans, that also gives you a really good egg. So these are like, the benefit that this overall benefit of professional development. Yes, fellowship really goes a long way, because it's number one, it goes a long way on your academic CV. All right. And then it also goes a long way, when you're telling your academic story, right? And not just telling your academic story, but you are saying you've got experiential learning, all right, elsewhere out there, all right? And this experiential learning is not also disconnected from what you have been learning before. Right? These two things speaks to each other. My experience at the University of Ibadan over the years, and then my experience at Leipzig in 6 months, it's it's there's a continuum, like a dialogue between both experiences. So I think the overall is that it's for you, and then you get to even like see more opportunities, and the experiential learning also gets like exposed to lots of opportunities out there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for that very clear and audible presentation, Mr. Matthew Ayodele. Can we now move to Stephanie Eferotu? So I want to remind you again, the topics include how you get information about the fellowship opportunity, how you wrote your proposal, including how you generated your idea and the kind of project you worked on, then how you network and achieve professional development, then how you process your letter of recommendation and how you met other requirements for the application, and the benefit you derive from the fellowship, both financial benefit and the benefit in terms of professional development opportunities. So Stephanie, you now have the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Can
Good
you hear me,
afternoon.
please?
Yes, good afternoon. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Yes. Thank you. I'm Stephanie Nefivotu, a doctoral student at the Department of History, University of Ibadan, and I'm a recipient of the Social Science in the Social Science Research Council's Next Generation Social Science in Africa Awards. Okay, so I got the dissertation proposal fellowship in 2020 and also the dissertation research fellowship in 2021. So for the first question on how you know about the opportunity, for me as a scholar, okay, since I was working on something related to peace, because my thesis is around the religion and peace building, the first thing I do the moment I started my PhD was to start looking for, because I know conducting research without funding is quite difficult, and considering the empirical nature of our studies. So I started by going online to check for organizations and institutions that fund PhD research on my area. So I started by following some of them online on social media, their Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all of that, so I can get regular information when they post it. So for Social Science in Africa and Next Gen program, they usually put up their call towards October every year. So from October to February every year. So based on the fact that I'm subscribed to their network, following on social media, the moment the call came out, I got notified on about it, and also friends on my social media platform, since they know my research is centered around peace, security, and development. When such call comes about, they usually forward it to me that please do where to apply. It fits into what you are working on, so apply. So the first thing is for you to look at your area of specialization and try to look for organizations and institutions that fund research around that area. So you get informed when their call comes about. So I guess that answered the question on sourcing information and how I know about the fellowship. So with regards to writing proposal, the thing, proposal for PhD applications is different from proposal for funding applications. So the most important thing you should know is that all organizations also and institutions, they have different methods of writing proposal. The one for a separate organization may be quite different from the one from another institute. So it's to look at, and most institutions also provide like an overview of what they are looking for. So you go into their website, check, okay, how do they want your proposal to be like? Is it 1,000 words? Is it 2,000 words? What should it look like? So for SSRC, they provided us, okay, they don't have a template for proposal writing, but they gave us something like a document on the art and craft of writing proposals. So it tells you that, okay, this is what I'm looking, this is the kind of work they are looking for. So for Social Science Research Council Next Gen program, they fund research that have to do with peace, security, and development, research that can tie the linkage between how the research you want to do connects to issues of peace, issues of security, issues of development. And for them, peace, security, and development is not something narrow. It's something that is all encompassing. So you may be working on prostitution, you may be working on land issues. The most important is for you to just look at a way in which your work addresses the broader question of peace, security, and development, and it must be innovative. So what new thing are you going to bring in with your research, and how will it help to address existing gap in that discipline? It should be clear in your proposal. So for the proposal development stage, it's not something big. It's just because for the proposal stage, they expect that the funds they are giving you is for you to develop a proposal. So they don't want something elaborate. So it's just your idea. What's your research questions you want to address? What methodology will you be using in addressing those? So it's only at the dissertation research level, when applying for that, you come in with a fully developed proposal that have been accepted in your department. So for you to be able to apply for the doctoral research stage, you must have completed pre-feed at your department. So you must be able to tell them that this proposal have been approved for field work in my department, because the whole essence of the research fellowship is to fund your field work. So they are giving you this fund so you'll be able to go for field work without having to work at financial. So on networking and professional development, I would say it's beyond amazing. So I will look at how I can take the financial and professional reward of the fellowship, because the two are kind of intertwined. So for me, I would say this the Next Gen program, it has been making a wonderful impact on my life and on my research, because for scholars without access to institutional funding, without employment, since it's a full-time program, conducting empirical research can be quite overwhelming financially, especially when the research you are conducting is not in the area where you reside. For me, my research is focused on the Southeast and Nigeria more broadly, but I'm doing my PhD in Ibadan. Since it's an empirical study, I have to go for fieldwork ethnographic study in these places, and I have to spend months in some of this region. So without access to the funding provided by the SSRC program, it would have been very, very difficult for me to be able to conduct such research. But because I have access to this funding, I was able to conduct my research in time without having to think about where will I get this money to pay for flights, where will I get this money to pay for hotel. But because these are already covered in the funds, it becomes easy for you to relax and focus solely on delivery quality research. Then in terms of professional, for SSRC, the program is supposed to be done physically at different countries in Africa yearly. But because we are in a period of COVID, the 2 times I got the award, it was done virtually. But for the virtual, for ensure that we get the best out of the fellowship, we do two retreats annually. So bringing all the fellows together with mentors, facilitators to train us on the art and craft of doing good research, where we can publish, what we can do, and also getting people within your area to read your work. So the different perspectives we get from facilitators and colleagues at this workshop, it gives you new perspectives and new things to add. A question you may not have thought of why going through your work, because someone else that doesn't know you from Adam and will be scared of probably saying, if I tell this person that what he wrote is wrong, or not, you may feel offended. So these platforms are there for us. We learn, think of how we can better develop our research. So it's very, very, very impactful. Then in terms of letter of recommendation and application requirements, for SSRC, you need a letter of recommendation, one from your supervisor and one for someone else that can speak well of you, that can speak of your strengths. So you know the one from your supervisor is sure. But choosing the second recommender, it's good for you to choose somebody that can really speak well of you, because this is a competitive fellowship. So it won't be great if you choose somebody that will just say, this candidate is honest and obedient, so I think she can do the work. So you need somebody that can say in the recommendation letter how your work connects to the fellowship and how you stand out as the best candidate over the 3,000 other applicants that are applying for the fellowship. So for me, overall benefits of the fellowship is that it has been very important, it has been very impactful, and for SSRC also, they send us updates on calls for paper, calls for fellowship, and today I'm also in Lagos physically for writing retreat organized by the Lagos Studies Association, and I got to know about the opportunity through the Research Council that has sent us this call to apply and what have you. And it also gives us access to scholars, because now we have a WhatsApp with other scholars. We share ideas, share thoughts. You need access to material that you don't have. You're easy to get other people with such access to give it to you. So thank you very much. I think I will stop here.
Great. Stephanie, thank you very much for that very interactive narrative of your pleasant experience. We appreciate it. So I think we are doing well in the area of time management. I commend all the discussants for being very professional in their engagement with their experience. So we are now moving on to the number 4 discussant, Mr. Ridwan Kolawole. Can you please share your own experience? Remember the topic, how you got information about the fellowship, how you wrote your proposal, how you achieved network and professional development, how you process the letter of recommendation and other requirements for application. Then what are the benefits, both financial benefits and benefit in terms of professional development opportunities, and any other information you want to share. So, Mr. Ridwan Kolawole, you now have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. And I thank my other colleagues who have spoken. It is gratifying to be here. Ridwan Kolawole, Doctor in the Department of Communication and Language Arts, University of Ibadan. Even though I teach in the Department of Mass Communication, Fante University, Osogbo. How did I get to know about opportunity? I tried the nomadism in I go about around. That's because of my upbringing that we are free to move around. So I go around. I go around as students, doctoral students. I move from different departments, from my department to different departments, seeking information. One day, I had submitted my proposal to my supervisor, Dr. Babatunde Ojebu. So what I wanted to do was to critique the media perspective or the media reportage of development issues in Nigeria. As a result of the grant they get, what in the proposal was even more than what I wrote in the proposal. Asking questions, making comments. I was like, I felt discouraged. What can I do? So I was thinking, because I still like to do something critical, crime, conflict, criticism. So I was just a lecturer in the Department of Sociology, Dr. Olda Tadi, who also happens to be my mentors. He said, why are you disturbing yourself on journalism? Go and look at the media reportage or something that's a particular fellowship and you can actually apply that. That was barely 15 or 16 days to the deadline of the next generation in Africa's program, that is Science Research Council. Barely 2 weeks. Something had been on for about 2 or 3 months. I was not aware. So he told me that day, it was December 2018. I said, okay, I will try. Immediately I was searching for it on my phone. So we were in the car together and I was searching it immediately. So I got to know, this is interesting. I read through the thematic areas, peace and conflict, gender issue, environment, land dispute, and what. So, and I have the media background, and what I do must reflect me. So I now saw the last point, media and conflict. I say, oh, I belong here. So I was happy. So I started the proposal in 2 weeks. People have even submitted, they have even forgot that submitted. So I would inform my supervisor, say, oh, this is great. This looks like a topic. This looks like a area that you can actually go into. It is recent, it is current, so it is the topic, and I appreciate my ingenuity in that regard. So that's how I got it. I got information through my work about going to different areas, and that somebody in sociology. So I got the information through that means. Then information on fellowship. So I've discussed that one alongside Jerome. So I immediately started getting information. So what is Science Research Council? What is Next Generation in African program? What is it all about? I started asking questions. Okay, they have this, they have that. So I downloaded some information, their proposal documents. So I downloaded it. I read through the website. So I've understood the thematic areas. I know where I fell. So and I started writing the proposal. Now, writing proposal for application for next year make you think deep. Because I had my proposal, I'm writing as a doctoral student. Now I want to apply. So it requires some kind of effort to convert that proposal to adapt it to suit that template that provided on the website where I will fill the form for this application. So I started ruminating, okay, how can I put this together? How can I write this one? Because the way they're asking the question is not the way I was told. Objectives, listed questions, not like that. Twisted in a way. So I have to follow the instructions. So I filled the form, submitted, and I was expecting that someday I will get the result will be out by May 2019. So I was expectant. So on April 30, 2019, I got the message. So that was the first, the first opportunity for me and to gain some kind of great confidence. So I'm doing something really good vis-a-vis the academic pursuit at doctoral level. So indeed, I've applied for grants when I was doing my master's, but it was the case of Olule narrative as we have recently. I didn't get it, so I got this one. I was happy. I informed my supervisor. I informed my source of information of this house. So we're all happy and informed our great mentor, Professor Odebode. So he was also happy. So we're all happy. So we started the process. Now, the reference, when it was easier for me to get reference from my supervisor when I was applying. So, and I think he will not show me, he will not want to show me, but I know he wrote something very good. And I also informed Dr. Tadi, who informed me about the stuff. He was aware of what I was doing. So they gave letter of recommendation. So it was seamless for me, seamless to get recommendation letter. My supervisor has been forthcoming, even though the deadline was very, very close. So within a week or so, he wrote the recommendation letter, submitted, and I can also see he submitted online. There was a platform provided by the Next Gen SSRC for the recommenders to submit. So the two of them are aware of my work, and they submitted the application. The requirements, there was no specific requirement for SSRC Next Gen application, except that I was a PhD student. That was what was required. So, and I also speak, okay, this person is my supervisor. Another person says, okay, this person is a doctoral student, is doing this, he has this, he has that. So they submitted their recommendation independently. So that was how it all went. Then what I gained, number one thing is that I gained some kind of stability in pursuing my program. I like to say that before I got this grant, this fellowship, I had lost about 6 months of my program, or almost one session. But what I missed, I recovered in less than a session because of the financial stability that I had. So, and I was working in the Republic, so I left the job, said, it's okay for coming up and down. Now I had financial capability to work on my thesis or as one deal. So I was okay, I was fine with that. So then the financial stability takes care of that. Then professional reward. Then I thought, yes, I'm now on the line of in a way. So at least I have some, my work is recognized by the international organization that it can be funded. So that gave me some kind of gratification that I know that, okay, I'm getting along. I also made contact among the scholars from Africa and from Europe, from America. So I met people, I met colleagues from Africa that share the same experience as I do. So my sponsor is this. Oh, we had limited scholarship in this area. We had limited literature in this area. We have no. So the experiences are almost the same in Africa in particular, because programs are primarily African young scholars. So that is how what I can say in that regard. So, and now I teach journalism. So I'm a lecturer in the Department of Mass Communication. So I'm still in my PhD, hoping to finish. So this has been the journey so far as next gen SSRC is concerned. It's a rewarding experience for me. So the colleagues I met, they were still talking, and one of them is somebody from my university. Definitely people to hear. Thank you very much.
Great. Awesome. So maybe when we come to interactive session, there was a terminology that you released from your buccal cavity. That terminology is Olule narrative. And LSA is an international conference. I'm sure one of the participants will ask you to simplify, translate, or transliterate or transcribe the Olule narrative. So I think you should be warming up until that time. So if nobody asks you, I will remind you again. So that's part of what is on your list now. Thank you very much. We enjoy your very engaging and communicative narrative. Thank you very much. So we have few minutes before the floor will open to participants. And at the beginning of the discussion, Mr. Semiu Adegbenle was not audible in some parts of his experience sharing. So I think I should give him another opportunity, maybe to use 5 minutes to summarize his experience so that the audience does not miss any information. Mr. Semiu Adegbenle, are you able to do that? I messaged you earlier in the chat room to prepare your mind for this. Did you see the chat I sent to you?
Yes.
Okay, so please kindly make yourself audible this time. This is another opportunity you now have.
Am I more audible now?
Yes, please. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think the best thing is to disconnect this. Okay, yes, I think my experience is very much similar with that of Matthew Ayodele, where the two beneficiary of the Erasmus exchange in my department. So I think the only slight difference would be that I did not have to develop my proposal from scratch. I had one that I had submitted to IFRA for a different Erasmus exchange program at Science Pool. So that was what I developed. And then I did not submit the proposal like that blind. I had assistance from some mentors who assisted me in fine-tuning the proposal. And I gave some of my colleagues that I met in LSA, and they also made their input, and I submitted it and I got it. Then the other part, I think I was also the benefits. I think for me, it was more beneficial because I deal in economic history, and most of the professors that I got to meet were also dealing with novel aspect of economic history, like econometrics and migration. So it was really an eye opener that so there's this method, especially there's more emphasis on multidisciplinary compared to what we're used to at home. So it was an eye opener. And when I factor in this experience in my proposal, especially my PhD proposal, it's really reflected because I got interesting feedback from for my PhD, for the potential supervisors. I was right there, like, oh, this is more attuned with what is obtained out there. So the exposure was really very, very good for me. And then the financial part too, because that was my first time of traveling out, and Euro to Naira is
it's good money. So the money was good. So I think that's also one thing that we have to acknowledge. Overall, I think it's winning grants, whether pre-doctoral or doctoral, situates the beneficiary. It gives this advantage to the beneficiary's CV, because when reviewers or potential supervisors see you, they're like, oh, you have potential to attract grants. You have there's some potential in you that they themselves might also be willing to also invest in. So I think that's basically what I would like to add.
Great. Thank you very much, Semiu Adegbenle. I think all of us are now on the same page. So we have recovered what we missed from Adegbenle's narrative. And this is quite inspiring. So let me use 2 or 3 minutes out of the time we have saved to point out the themes that emerge from their narratives. So all these wonderful discussants have shared their experience, and clearly concerning the source of information, so the role of the internet came out clear in their explanation. So they cultivated the habit of using the internet as a veritable source of information for pre-doctoral scholarship opportunities. So that came out clear. Then when they were talking about how they developed their proposal, a theme that emerged is creativity. So they deploy their creative abilities to engage with the information they obtained. So when they responded to the information, creativity became a tool of engagement, and that turned out well. So that made them to be successful. An example of that is when Ridwan started his own journey through a critique of the media reportage of a development issue in Africa. So you can see creativity in that kind of engagement, because ordinarily if one is talking of media communication and what have you, so maybe one may not directly connect with development, but its own ability to establish a clear connection between the role of the media and development issue and what have you, so gave him an edge, and he developed that. So when they were talking about how they network, so one thing that came out as a major theme is that they were reaching out to different professionals who could be of help, using the opportunity at hand. So I think they maximize the opportunity by reaching out, and they have a lot of nice stories. Then when they were talking about how they process recommendation and how they met the requirement, the role of supervisor became a major theme. So for the potential applicant or predoctoral fellowship opportunities, so having a good relationship with supervisor is very important from their experience. So that came out clear that their supervisors encouraged them, their supervisors provided the letter, and so on. And when they were talking about the benefit they derived, something came out clear as a major theme: financial stability. They all acknowledge the fact that they made good money in the process of implementing their proposal. And yeah, that's quite motivating. Then finally, when they were talking about the overall benefits, I wrote down 3 themes. The first one is confidence. So this opportunity gave them confidence. And secondly, capacity building. It built their capacity. So they explained this in different ways, and it also gave them feasibility. So I think that's about the theme that I have documented from their narratives. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the floor is now open for participants to ask their question, and you can direct your question to any of the discussants. We have over 40 participants currently in the room, And the discussants, please get your thinking cap on and get your pen and paper ready. So it is now time for further interactions on this important conversation. So participants, uh, if you are able to speak, that's fine. If you are not able to speak, you can use the chat room or Q&A. You can use the Q&A button if you are not allowed to speak. I don't know how the secretariat program the response. So we have one question from Omobolanle Akiniyi. Are many of these fellowship open to African students studying abroad? So that's one question. I think this question is not directed to any particular person. So I think all of you should take note of this question. So the question is, are many of these fellowship open to African students studying abroad? So I think this question is important because those who are studying abroad are in developed countries. So, and that's why I think that question is coming up. So, and I think most times, what I can say from my own personal experience is that the, the instruction or the procedure for application or eligibility criteria usually specify if they want the applicant to be based in Africa. Sometimes they usually indicate that the applicant should have been residing in Africa for some years before the period or before the commencement of the fellowship program, really. So, but the discussion will still answer that question from their own experience. So, but I think most scholarship opportunities usually specify that the applicant should be based in Africa, but not all. If a few fellowship opportunity does not discriminate, so a few fellowship opportunities still allow anybody from any part of the world to apply. So that's about that. Then let's move on. Let's check the chat room. To all presenter, this question is coming from Nureni Aremu. To all presenter, how does your research contribute to knowledge? So contribution to knowledge, this is another very important question. So all of you should take note. So the proposal you wrote, which you are currently implementing. So what are the, if you have not done so, maybe potential contribution to knowledge. So that's what this person wants to know. Then somebody asked, Kayode Adebayo, I'm really a little bit interested in the Olule narrative of Ridwan Kolawole. You know, I said it. So, Olule narrative. Somebody wants to know the epistemology of that Olule narrative of yours. So, attendees can raise their hand to speak. So, you can raise your hand to speak. But this raising of hand, okay, I have to activate the participant button to be able to see it because not all of them are loaded on the drop down. So okay, I have two people raising hand. Let me click that button. It's a bit cumbersome the way this thing is programmed, but I will try and work around it. So I have to scroll down and know. Okay, I'm there now. Rashid Adebiyi, you now have the floor. I can see you raise your hand. Rashid Adebiyi. After Rashid Adebiyi is Nureni Aremu. So if you can unmute yourself and speak, that would be nice. Rashid Adebiyi and Nureni Aremu. Okay, Rashid has deactivated his Rashid. Okay, you are on now. You can speak now, Rashid. Yes, Rashid. Please, you have the floor. Speak. Rashid Adebiyi. Rashid Adebiyi, you now have the floor. Okay, if Rashid is not forthcoming, Nureni Aremu, okay, maybe Nureni has used the chat room. He's the one that said to all presenter, how does your research contribute to knowledge? Okay, so Nureni is telling us that the radio,
hello,
the audio is
I'm
not,
here.
is not, okay. Okay,
I'm
yes,
here.
speak on. Okay, okay. Please go ahead, sir.
All right. Good evening, colleagues.
Good evening, sir.
I want to commend all presenters. I'm also their colleagues. I'm also a postgraduate student here in South Africa.
Great.
And when I see my colleagues speak like this, I'm always impressed. I'm very impressed with all their presentations.
Great.
So now I want all presenters to just make their topics known to us. I think there was a network issues when they were talking, so I couldn't pinpoint each of their topics. Maybe they should just make it clear.
Okay, thank you, sir. So please, discuss and note that. So they want you to clearly state the topic of your proposal. Then Rashid Adebiyi, I would like to commend the chair of this session, Akim Akinwale, and the panelists for a wonderful session. Thank you. I equally want to thank the presenter for a good job. Thank you. So this one is a letter of commendation from Rashid Adebiyi. Thank you. We appreciate you. Yes, can we move on to any other person in the audience? Do you have any question? You can raise your hand. I think we have listened to those who raised their hand. Rashid Adebiyi spoke. What of Nureni Aremu? Nureni Aremu, do you still want to speak? Or what you posted in the chat room is all you wanted to say? Nureni Aremu, so you now have the floor. Okay, so maybe we'll do round 2 of the question and answer section. So let's give the discussants 2 minutes to respond to the first round of Q&A. So we are starting from Mr. Semiu Adegbenle. So those questions, please, what's your response?
Okay, thank you, sir. I think it's just one of the questions that apply to me and my research.
Sir, I think all the 3 questions apply to you. Let me remind you. The first question is that this scholarship opportunity, are they open to African students who are based abroad? That's question 1. Question 2 is that the topic of your proposal that you work on is also applicable to you. The next question is contribution to knowledge that you have made. I think those are the 3 questions we have received. So please go ahead, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for the clarification. I thought you actually answered the first one, and you've done justice to it. For us, the Erasmus Exchange grant and scholarship that we got, it was restricted to just the Department of History, University of Ibadan. So I think there are other departments that also have this kind of localized exchange program. I think before we left, there was a student who had an exchange at Lithuania. And then when we were also in Leipzig, we met other Erasmus exchange students from Cameroon. So to an extent, I think it's international. And some of them are just exchange between countries, like from Italian university to Germany or to, so it is continental. If you have it in your department, you can apply, and some of them are actually wide open. But for us, the one we got was localized in the distant Department of History. And for others who might also be interested, the IFRA, the Institute of French Research in Africa, Ibadan, sometimes also do call for application for the Erasmus Exchange at Science Pool. To the best of my knowledge, that is open to all Nigeria students, so you can apply for that. So
how does my research contribute to knowledge and what I'm currently researching on? Yes, I wrote my MA dissertation on the history of Francophone immigrants. Migration of Congolese, Beninois, Ivorian to Ejigbo, a town in Osun State. So the main contribution of that research was that it refocused attention of readers or of the scholarly community to an aspect of migration in Ejigbo that is less known. Most time people just look at the town as a migrant exporting local government. And that's the two. What's the third question?
Contribution to knowledge.
Yes, my contribution to knowledge is just that my dissertation then shift our understanding of migration as far as this Lagos, southwestern Nigeria migration corridor it shifts the attention in the sense that whereas when some people imagine migration, they think all migrants just go to the city. But most times, most migrants do not go to cities. Migrants go to places where they assume they would be well accommodated and where they think their own skill sets would be easily accommodated. Take, for instance, a Francophone farmer or a Beninois farmer or a Ivorian farmer has no business going to Lagos Island. So he would rather go to a part of the world where there's abundant land to cultivate. So that's basically my own little contribution to knowledge. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So no contribution to knowledge is little. So you are just trying to be modest. So thank you. So we can move to Matthew Ayodele now. You now have the floor. So please, in 2 minutes, you can respond to those questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the first question I'll respond to is like talking about the scholarship opportunity open to students.
African student based abroad. African student based abroad.
Yes. Thank you. So as rightly stated by Mr. Adedele, I mean, like the Erasmus program we actually nominated for, and then we attended, and it was more semester like more tailored towards the Department of History, right? It was more or less like an agreement, an institutional agreement, right? So I think what's actually happened is just for these African students abroad to also probably be in communication with their international office or with people in charge in their community if they are like any available exchange or mobility opportunities. And also, we talked about professional network and what have you previously. These are like also, spaces where you can also like, to some extent, seek such opportunities. Because sometimes it's not even about institutional affiliations again. It's also about, applying for these things directly. Then to comment on state of proposals, to comment on the potential contribution of present research knowledge. My master's, which I was working on before the Erasmus program, actually it's explored these traditional medical practitioners and missionary medical practitioners like the colonial nurses and the doctors. What it actually explored more is all about the interplay, the contestation between traditional medicine and colonial medicine or missionary medicine. Now, these are like, there are different interfaces to this thing. My second chapter actually explored advocacy of traditional, practitioners for traditional medicine, because during this time, it was more or less like a contestation between, herbalists, colonial nurses, doctors. So I was able to use the archival records at the National Archive of Ibadan to to like engage this narrative. While the third chapter actually look at the effort of the colonial government to actually engage in medical advocacy of some sort, and the reaction from indigenous people to these governments like Health Week and and rural health units. While the fourth chapter then looked at the Nigerian government efforts at engaging in reproductive health advocacy. So what I did was more or less like just looking at these actors, the changes and dynamics to actors that engage in reproductive health advocacy. While I was at the University of Leipzig, there was a course I took with Melissa on society in Africa, which actually looked at non-governmental organizations as non-state actors in development in Africa. And I was able to like relate, or I was able to like create this nexus between that topic or the experience or the knowledge I gained from that topic to my chapter 4 of my master's dissertation. And then I came up with an analysis, a very good one about like the fact that during SAP, Structural Adjustment Program, okay, states withdrew its responsibility from, not totally, but then especially in the health sector, its responsibility in providing health amenities or in engaging issues of reproductive health at that time. But then these non-governmental organizations, although not necessarily international, I looked at Action Health Incorporated in Lagos. They were actually the ones that now acted as alternative states. So I like made this research, and then I submitted the abstract to the University of Glasgow's conference sponsored by UKRI on women's right to reproductive health right and reproductive health care in Africa or in the world generally. And the abstract was accepted. Last 2 weeks, I presented this research at the conference at Glasgow. And these are just ways whereby we make our research speak to a larger body of literature. So and then this topic of proposal, I'm still like trying to also look at the contestation, because it's really a wide thing when you want to look at probably the approaches of several medical missions and all, not to take our time. I think that's just.
Thank you very much. Have you mentioned the contribution to knowledge?
Yes, I said, like a lot of people have actually like look at several, all these areas about SAP and economics. I mean, SAP on social, infrastructural development and all. What I did was just look at SAP effect on reproductive health precisely, and how government organization came on as alternative to states.
Okay. Thank you very much. Great. So we can get the response of Stephanie Eferotu now to those 3 questions. So you now have the floor, Stephanie.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. Okay, on the first question on if the application is open to scholars of Africa based in the abroad. Okay, for the Social Science Research Council Next Generation program is for African scholars based in 6 African universities: Kenya, South Africa, Uganda, and Nigeria and Ghana. But the Social Science Research Council also funds several other fellowships for scholars based in different parts of the world. For example, they have the Mellon International Dissertation Fellowship, which is for scholars not of Africa, of the US, but studying in the US. And there are others, there are several others for scholars in Korea and also different teams. And there are also other fellowships for such scholars to look at. Then on what my research is and how it contributes to knowledge. So for me, I'm looking at religion role in peace building, especially focusing on post-Civil War Nigeria. So my topic is contributes to knowledge in several ways. First is the fact that the Nigerian Civil War, as we all know, happened over 50 years ago, and at the end of the war, there was this policy, this peace building policy, reconstruction, rehabilitation, reconciliation, and what have you. But 50 years after the war, there is still no sustainable peace in the country. The issues that result to the civil war, we still see these issues in our contemporary society today. We still have the issue of perceived or actual marginalization of some certain groups. And in the country as we have it today, religion is ingrained in every discussion. You can't talk of anything without religion being put into it. During the election, you see religion. You see the way individuals try to use their religion also as a tool to escalate conflict. So with my own research, I'm trying to look at religion as a tool for peace building, specifically looking at the Catholic Church and what they've been doing to promote peace since the end of the war. So I try to look at peace building during the Civil War and what they've been doing in building peace since the end of the war, some of their impacts, some of their challenges. So with that, my own contribution to knowledge is trying to look at how the government and our institutions can begin to engage religious actors and religious institutions when it comes to peace building discussions, because people have trust in their religious leaders than in their political or social leaders. So if people can use religion to escalate conflict, then they can also use they can also be inspired to use their religion in peace building. I think then my role in giving back to the society where this data is coming from.
That will be round 2. Hold on. That will be round 2 questions. Don't worry. So thank you very much. Thank you so much. So we can now move to Ridwan Kolawole to give his own response. Ridwan, you now have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I may not have to say much on that of the first question. So, because Stephanie has responded well to that, except that I want urge the person to also interact that website of the SSRC, that's ssrc.org. It's a good one that you have different from America, from Europe, from Middle East, from Africa. There are different programs meant for different people. Even people, those who are professionals, who also find what they can apply for at SSRC. But this particular one that I won is for African-based scholars in 6 countries.
Oh, we are not hearing him again. His audio is stands still. Can you hear me, Mr. Ridwan? Can you hear me? We cannot hear you again.
I think it's frozen, possibly network. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll return to him. So we can now start the round 2. So in the round 2, I have questions from Dr. Rashid Adebiyi from Fountain University. So his questions are as follows. What is your plan to give back to the society from where you are getting the data to fulfill your deliverables for your fellowship? Then the next question is, are all funding bodies methodology biased?
Hello?
Then Mr. Kayode Adebayo said all the presenters are wonderful. I think the right candidate won the grant. Kudos to the organizers. So I think this one is a letter of recommendation from Kayode Adebayo. Thank you. So yeah, we have 2 questions for the second round. I think Mr. Ridwan is back. So Mr. Ridwan, can
Yes, sir.
you continue and be brief, please? Because we wanted to stand the round 2 when we didn't see you, but thank God you are back. So you still have you can still claim your floor.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Yes,
you very
yes,
much.
yes, yes, yes.
And then the part of my thesis is identity construction in Nigerian media reportage of Palmaida conflict. So I explore what are the conflict actors called by the media while reporting the conflict between the farmers and herdsmen. So, and also I look at who are the constructors? Are the journalists the only people constructing the identity, or the sources of information are also constructing identities for this media conflict? So irrespective of whether somebody is right or wrong, media are expected to bring the issue of conflict to the level of discussion and not to the level of aggravation. So I want to look at what role is the media playing in this regard. So that's my thoughts. And the first contribution to knowledge is that I am joining the global conversation or original conversation on this farmer-elder conflict. So having gone through the literature, seeing what people have done, primarily studies on farmer-elder conflict are from sociology, they are from history, they are from peace and conflict studies. But those who are even from the media, they are interested in looking at how many stories they have reported, what is the percentage. But I look at it qualitatively, the content analysis aspect of the work. I look at the qualitative, what are the narratives, what are the words, what are the identities so constructed by the media in framing the conflict actors and conflict itself. So that is contribution to knowledge. And I plan that after this PhD work, the findings will be rewritten and communicate same to the media practitioners where they go, where they need to improve, and where they are doing well. So looking at identity construction in escalating or de-escalating the conflict in Nigeria.
Are you done?
So that is my contribution.
Okay.
To not,
okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Not now.
Okay. Go ahead.
The issue of Olule narrative, it's funny, but it can be painful when one gets Olule results. At least Olule has to do with, it's not a new word, but it appears new in the last few weeks in Nigerian political environment, when a presidential candidate claimed that he supported a particular candidate who had earlier, the incumbent president, who had earlier, Lule, fell. So who earlier fell, who could not make it first time, second time, third time, before he now went to. So Olule means Oshibu Lule, he fell. So I got Olule responses in the past. So that's how this Olule came into being. So it's a Yoruba word meaning it falls down or it fell down. So that's some people call it a love letter when you get a negative response from funders. that we are sorry. So when you hear you are sorry, or you hear thank you for applying a hand, you know that what contractor mean, you know what it can be. So that is what I mean by Olule.
Thank you very much. That's quite interesting. So we don't pray to have a Olule experience because it's a negative experience. So we all pray against Olule. So yeah, I think we can now start the second round and the final round of this conversation. So we already have two questions waiting for each discussant, and the first question is, what is your plan to give back to the society from where you are getting the data to fulfill your deliverable for your fellowship? And second question is, are all funding bodies methodology biased? So my own question will be, how did you adapt to the new environment? Those of you who went to Leipzig, how did you adapt to the new environment, and how did you cope with the language barrier? And Stephanie, that conducted a study in Southeast Nigeria, how did you cope with the environment of insecurity and so on? So I think each of you has 1 minute because we have 3 minutes left. So let's start from be as brief as possible, please. Semiu Adegbenle, please spend 1 minute and let's move on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. For in my own case, let me start from the last. There was no much language barrier because the language of instruction in our program was English, and most of our colleagues all spoke English, so we did not experience much language barrier. Secondly, I left with Matthew, so we had that companionship, and then we were even speaking about on buses or pigeons, so it was not a lonely experience. How do I intend to give back? I'm just a master student, so that should be a long-term plan. So I don't have the resources for that. Our funding agency methodology bias. Well, I've not won enough grants to make that conclusion, but in my own department, we're told only those who are writing social or economic history apply. So that's all I can say.
Thank you very much. Matthew Ayodele.
Well, just to add to that, I mean, Mr. Adedele said everything already. And then, so about how I bring back to our community, to our society, yes, it's also a thing of like probably like disseminating all our research papers to larger academic crowd, whether academic or non-academic. And I think participating in the conference and talking about our research, and also I'll be presenting another paper in LSA this thing like in the next few days. So I think like these are like do these things. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Stephanie. Stephanie, it's your time. Okay, while we are waiting for Stephanie, read one. We can have you now.
Can you hear me?
Thank you very much.
Okay, Stephanie, yes. Go ahead, Stephanie, yes.
Okay, in terms of how I cope in the East, because of the insecurity, most of my travels have to because I couldn't use road for transport. Then I had to, because of the fact that you don't move on Mondays, you don't move when Nnamdi Kanu goes to court. There are times where I had to make sure all I had to do was just within the period where I can move. And then I also had to employ research assistants that were Igbos, that were familiar with the terrain and all of that. So that helped to eliminate language barriers and some of the insecurities you face as an outsider. Then in terms of methodological barrier, for social science research council, I think they respect the fact that we all have our own disciplinary uniqueness. For example, the methodology I submitted while applying for my own was quite different from the one people in the social science employ. So they respect that each department have their own uniqueness. Then in respect to how I give back to the society, I have a website which I created through fundings gotten from the SSRC. There I post and disseminate information on issues related to peace, security, and development. That Scholar is heart-free, is not a profit-generating website. You go there, you can read, and yeah.
Thank you very much. So, Ridwan, 30 seconds, because we have come to the end of this session,
right,
but let's just have you in 30 seconds. Thank you very much.
Okay, I see myself as an odd one in this kind of grants. Coming from communication background, where majority, like 99% are from the mainstream of society, like history, peace and conflict, sociology, political science. I like, and that's why some of them, it takes some effort to explain my work, my background, and my own peculiar methodology to them. They say, why can't you look at this? I say, this is how in communication in media studies. I think once you found the program proposal said, I told him, this is the challenge. And he asked communication background. I explained to him and said, he understands, okay, this is it. So we need to explain to the facilitators during the workshops, this is how we structure our work in communication. And they also admitted that we are not the one to give you your PhD certificate. So align with the specification of your school. We are just providing some guide and funds, and that was sufficient for us to get along. So
thank you very much. I thank everybody for this very interesting engagement this afternoon. You have contributed again to the success of this year pre-doctoral fellowship workshop. Thank you very much. As you continue further engagements, I wish you all the best, and regards to your family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I want to say, yeah, you are now free to log out. We have come to the end of this engagement. I thank all the discussants and all the participants. I hope to see you again pretty soon. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Thanks.
much. Bye.
Bye.